I've been secretly married to the Oscar-winning actor for 5 years, yet he's always surrounded by scandals and refuses to acknowledge me publicly. During the variety show, everyone kept probing whether I'd ever been in a relationship, even he joined in with a smile. Professor Chow, I know plenty of decent guys. Want me to set you up with someone? On this day in my past life, I was so furious that I took out our wedding ring. The Rising Star by Choo Choo ran out in tears. Shin Yancy didn't say anything outwardly, but grew increasingly distant afterward. When I was rushed to the OR with severe hemorrhaging during pregnancy, he didn't even check on me. He was busy celebrating Bai Choo Choo's birthday at a Michelin-starred restaurant. When those thugs Bai Choo Choo hired violated me and I begged him for help, he just watched coldly. That's when I realized, to him, I was just some shameful secret to be kept in the shadows. In this new life, I smiled and said, yes, we're dating. He's not in the industry, we're getting married at month's end. Gasps erupted around us. No one expected me to announce my relationship live on the show. Shin Yancy's face darkened as the cup in his hand crumpled under his grip. He was about to speak when Bai Choo Choo, radiant beside him, batted her lashes and cut in. Wow, Professor Chow's been keeping secrets. If not for losing this round of Truth or Dare, were you planning to hide this forever? The live variety show erupted as Bai Choo Choo's remark sent shockwaves through the streaming audience. How pathetic are Chow Wanyan's fans. Your idol just dumped you all for romance. Hee hee. Our Choo Choo is way better, career-driven and ambitious. Men need not apply. Who said we're miserable? Xiaoyan won us over with her acting chops and a grand slam of awards. What's wrong with dating? Unlike a certain Chu who's still a nobody. Besides, our Yan Yan always said she'd settle down when the time's right. I smiled faintly. No matter how well you hide it, I'm still the lawful wife. In my past life, I always believed Bai Choo Choo was unaware of Shin Yancy's relationship with me, thinking she was also being deceived. But it wasn't until my dying moments when Bai Choo Choo came to flaunt Shin Yancy's devotion that I realized she'd known all along. Bai Choo Choo's expression faltered, though the other show guests remained oblivious, instead turning to me with curious questions. Sis Chow, who is it? Can we see a photo? An outsider who's worthy of our Sis Chow. I'm dying of curiosity. I smiled. He prefers to stay out of the spotlight. I'll introduce you properly when the time comes. The moment I finished speaking, I heard a derisive snort. Bai Choo Choo arched her eyebrows, shooting me a challenging look. Professor Chow, surely you're not making this person up. At your age, it'd be quite embarrassing if you still didn't have someone special. Don't you agree, Oscar winner Shin? Bai Choo Choo batted her eyelashes at Shin Yancy and playfully stuck out her tongue. I clenched my fists, only to hear Shin Yancy chime in with a perfectly timed MHM. Bai Choo Choo beamed even brighter. I mocked myself inwardly. Just moments ago, I was still hoping for something. The guests smoothed things over. Don't be mad, Professor Chow. Choo Choo's just teasing you as usual. This is Professor Chow's personal matter. We really shouldn't pry. I was just about to speak when a man's voice came from the doorway. Excuse me, is Yan Yan here? I've come to pick her up after work. Heads turned at the sound, revealing a young man standing casually by the doorway with one hand in his pocket. His jet black hair, slightly wavy, swept across his temples. Sharp brow ridges framed a strikingly handsome face with porcelain pale skin. When our eyes met, I froze momentarily. He flashed me a warm smile. Yan Yan, off work now. The live stream chat went wild. Holy shit, that guy is so hot. Is he Chow Wanyan's non-celebrity boyfriend? Damn, I thought Chow Wanyan was lying. Didn't expect her boyfriend to actually pick her up after work. I stood up from my chair and said to everyone around me, I'll head out first. The moment I stood up, I could feel someone's gaze burning into my back, but I didn't turn around. Just as I was about to step out the door, Shin Yancy's icy voice stopped me. Chow Wanyan. I paused mid-step and turned to face him. Did you need something, Professor Shin? His expression darkened, displeasure gathering in his eyes. Bai Choo Choo gave me a coy smile. It's my birthday party today. Actor Shin is celebrating with me. Care to join us, Professor Chow? I glanced at Shin Yancy, who remained silent. I'll pass. I averted my gaze and walked out. Happy birthday, I've got other commitments. The gaze fixed on me only faded after I settled into the back seat of the car. Turning to the man beside me, I expressed my gratitude. Thank you, Junior Fu. Fu Qingyuan replied. No need for formalities, Senior. I was just watching a live stream and happened to pass by. I offered a faint smile without pressing further, and he likewise refrained from questioning, simply saying, where are you headed? I'll give you a ride. I gave him my home address. We arrived in no time, just before I got out. Fu Qingyuan waved his phone at me. Senior, let's exchange contacts. I hesitated for a moment, and she chuckled softly. Who knows, I might need your help someday too. Nodding at this, I took out my phone. Sure. After exchanging contact information, Fu Qingyuan drove away. I turned and walked into the house. This house was bought by Xinyansi and me before our marriage. Though not spacious, it holds countless memories of our time together. During our free time between work commitments, we'd often curl up in this house gaming and binge-watching shows. I didn't move to a new place after getting married, but these days, Xinyansi rarely comes home. The moment I stepped inside, my agent called. Xiaoyan, check trending now. Xinyansi X by Chu Chu, relationship official. 4. What a perfect match. I thought rebirth would bring me peace of mind, yet those few lines on the screen still stung my eyes. Xinyansi V. Everyone, meet my girlfriend, the one and only, at by Chu Chu, by Chu Chu. The future is long, and I'll walk every step of it with Mr. Shin. I dated Xinyansi for 5 years, married him for 5 more, and waited a decade for this official announcement. Now he's casually given it to someone else. The agent's voice continued. There are nasty rumors online saying Bai Chu Chu is someone's mistress. Xinyansi is just defending her. How outrageous. But isn't Bai Chu Chu exactly that? You've been married to actor Shin for years. Yet, sis you, I interrupted her softly, asking, when will the visa be ready? Sister, you fell silent. Have you really decided to quit the industry and go abroad? 10 years ago, I gave up my dreams because of Xinyansi. I nodded. Now, I won't let him hold me back from living my life. Xinyansi and I grew up together since childhood. 5. As an orphaned and introverted child living under others' roofs, I was often bullied by neighborhood kids. Xinyansi would always stand in front of me, shielding me and standing up for me, until that year when he turned 15, when his parents went bankrupt, jumped to their deaths, leaving him utterly alone under crushing debt. Shattered by the tragedy, he repeatedly contemplated suicide. It was I who held him through those nights, whispering comfort. We became each other's light in the darkness, clinging together for survival and solace. At 18, I received an offer from University abroad, the dream school I'd always longed for. Xinyansi didn't speak that day, just held my hand with red-rimmed eyes as we stood there all night. After that night, I turned down the acceptance letter and took a talent scout's offer instead. Stepping into the entertainment industry, I'll repay Xinyansi's debts for him. He's still young with a long road ahead. Debts shouldn't weigh him down. But showbiz isn't easy. I hustled day and night, auditions, gigs, non-stop work, drank myself to the point of vomiting blood at business dinners. Finally, in my 5th year, a breakout drama role let me clear the Shin family's debts. Someone close to me asked, is it worth it? Back then, watching Xinyansi cook for me every day and stay by my side, I felt everything was worthwhile. But now, a notification chime snapped me out of my thoughts. I looked down and saw Xinyansi's name flashing on my phone screen. After a moment's hesitation, I answered the call. His voice came through, icy and detached. Quite the little actress, aren't you? Hiring some guy to put on a show just to piss me off. But you miscalculated. I know exactly how much you love me. You didn't get under my skin at all. I held the phone in silence. A familiar woman's voice came through the receiver. Ayen, come cut the cake for me. Xinyansi responded, be right there. Then he turned to me and said, you know Chu Chu and I have a new drama coming out. Once it finishes airing, I'll break up with her. Don't overthink it. Wait for me at home tonight. I'll bring your favorite dishes back with me. My memories seem to drift away. 6. Xinyansi was spotted by a director while visiting me on set, and that's how he got his start in showbiz. I turned it down immediately, because Xinyansi's dream was to pursue scientific research. Taking that acting role would have closed that door forever. But I never expected Xinyansi would go see the director behind my back. Later, he held me in his arms, his eyes rimmed red as he looked at me. Yen, I can't bear to see you struggle with me. I want to make enough money to give you the life you deserve. From that moment on, Xinyansi gave up his dreams for me and threw himself wholeheartedly into the entertainment industry. Our connection gradually faded as we got caught up in our busy lives. When the first scandal broke, he immediately flew 5 hours overnight to be by my side, holding me and apologizing, insisting it was all a misunderstanding. He promised to handle everything and told me not to worry. When I suggested going public about our marriage, he said it wasn't the right time. It might hurt his career and disappoint his fans, but he swore to me that I would always be his only wife, the only woman by his side. In the end, I chose to stay silent for his sake, until one day, Bai Chu entered the picture. She was sexually harassed at the banquet and fell into the water while fleeing, only to be rescued by Shinyansi. She resembled an innocent white flower, pure and naive, drenched and trembling. She lay in Shinyansi's arms. That very night, the two trended wildly on social media as gossip accounts sensationalized the incident. Shinyansi didn't utter a single word that time. By the time I collected myself, Shinyansi had already hung up. 7. Without dwelling further, I contacted a lawyer to draft divorce papers. I must settle all matters with Shinyansi before leaving the country. To my surprise, Shinyansi actually brought Bai Chu home with him that evening. Bai Chu peeked out from behind Shinyansi, her cheeks flushed, then ran toward me with a giggling greeting. Tada, Teacher Chiao, hee. We packed you some leftovers from my birthday banquet, dig in while it's hot. Shinyansi remained standing with resigned amusement. Slow down, he cautioned, you're tipsy, watch your step. He paused after speaking and looked at me. Chu had too much to drink tonight. It's not safe for a girl to go home alone, let her stay over. Oh right, you make great hangover soup, don't you? Make a bowl for Chu. I stood frozen in place, my ears ringing, my hands wouldn't stop trembling. Shinyansi cheating was bad enough, but now he's openly bringing her home, and he expects me to make her hangover soup. She's a grown woman, where's her assistant? Bai Chu never goes out without 3 or 4 assistants in tow. There's no way she'd be alone, at the very least. She could have stayed at a hotel. Shinyansi frowned. Yen, when did you become so petty? My voice trembled uncontrollably. This is my house, get out. Seeing the redness at the corners of my eyes, Shinyansi softened his tone. Alright, Yen, I'll make arrangements to have her sent away immediately. Shinyansi pulled out his phone, ready to make the call, but the next instant, a piercing scream shattered the air. Bai Chu tumbled head over heels down the stairs. Shinyansi's face paled dramatically. He dropped his phone and rushed toward Bai Chu. He was utterly panicked, a far cry from his usual composed demeanor. Chu. Bai Chu lay in Shinyansi's arms, her eyes tightly shut. Shinyansi's face darkened, his stormy gaze fixed intensely on me. My heart skipped a beat as I blurted out instinctively, it wasn't me. The next instant, Shinyansi's slap landed hard across my face. Qiao Wanyan, are you suggesting Chu threw herself down to frame you? She's a celebrity, you know how much her appearance means to her. The blow left me dazed, it snuffed out the last flickering light in my heart. Shinyansi was carrying Bai Chu and about to rush out when I called out to stop him. Wait, I handed him the divorce papers. Sign this first, or you're not going anywhere. Shinyansi shot me a furious glare. Whenever we had arguments before, I'd always pester him to buy me things and make him sign the bills to appease me. Now, he didn't even glance at what it was before signing his name. Then he strode out with Bai Chu in his arms, out of Shinyansi's sight. Bai Chu gave me a knowing smirk. News of Bai Chu's hospitalization trended on social media. 8. In the photo, she lay weakly in the hospital bed with bandaged forehead while Shinyansi tended to her with devoted care. The internet was flooded with posts praising the couple's strong bond. Sister Yu has been my manager since debut. While others don't know about my history with Shinyansi, she's fully aware. She came up to me and started cursing Shinyansi to my face. Sis, is the visa ready? Sister Yu nodded. It'll be ready in 3 days. These 3 days would give me time to sort out other matters. To my surprise, another post trended on the 3rd day. Breaking, actors Qiao Wanyan caught in love triangle with Shinyansi and Bai Chu. Shocking, Qiao Wanyan's attempted murder of Bai Chu exposed. Clicking into the trending topic, I saw countless influencer accounts frantically reposting 2 photos. One photo shows me heading home last night. Another captures Shinyansi and Bai Chu walking hand in hand to the same place shortly after me. The comment section went wild. Holy shit, what's going on? Why did all 3 enter the same house? Damn it, that bitch Qiao Wanyan. My sister works in the industry and found out apparently Qiao Wanyan sneaked into the best actor's place last night. She's the one who hurt Chu. Why would Qiao Wanyan go to the best actor's house? What kind of messed up story is this? I can't even make sense of it. Stop spreading lies. Why would our Yen ever break into someone's house? The online arguments kept raging on. Just then, a trending comment shot to the top spot. Qiao Wanyan never had an outside the industry boyfriend. she made it all up. She's been obsessed with the film Emperor for years. When he went public with Choo Choo, Xiao got jealous, sneaked into his house beforehand, and pushed Choo Choo down the stairs. I've got proof, check my screenshots. Xiao used to be the film Emperor's top fan. When Shen Yanxi first entered the entertainment industry with barely any fans, I visited his sets and even created burner accounts to boost his metrics and manage his fanbase. I kept all this completely under wraps. Nobody knew except Shen Yanxi and me. But now, the evidence posted by this user hit me right between the eyes. With trembling hands, I called Shen Yanxi. He only picked up on the fifth ring. Shen Yanxi, it was you. There's no one else I can think of who would post those pictures besides Shen Yanxi. The other end of the line fell silent. After what felt like an eternity, I finally heard Shen Yanxi speak. Yan Yan, you brought this upon yourself. Your remarks on the variety show led netizens to mistakenly believe Choo Choo was someone's mistress, tarnishing her reputation and subjecting her to cyberbullying. Our public relationship announcement wasn't just for our new drama, it was primarily to salvage her reputation and atone for your mistake. I thought you'd show remorse, but instead you pushed her down the stairs. Shen Yanxi's words had me laughing till tears nearly streamed down my face. All this, for my sake. If she's not a homewrecker, then what is she? Some naive virgin saint? Xiao Wanyan, you're being utterly unreasonable. Jiang Yanxi's furious shout cut me off mid-sentence. Since things have come to this, I don't want your conflict to escalate further. Apologize to Choo Choo, and I'll have her publicly declare her forgiveness. Let's consider this matter settled. Just like that, it's over. Easier said than done. As if Shen Yanxi had never set foot in the entertainment industry, I tilted my head back to hold back tears, about to say something to Shen Yanxi when another voice came through the phone. Mr. Shen, Choo Choo's awake and asking for you. I'm coming right now. Shen Yanxi responded urgently. When I checked my phone again, the call had already ended. Shen Yanxi hurried toward Bai Choo Choo's hospital room. 9, midway there, he seemed to remember something and stopped, turning to instruct his assistant. Did you get that necklace I asked you to buy earlier? The one Yan Yan mentioned she had her eye on. The assistant nodded. Have it delivered to Yan Yan. Shen Yanxi knew Xiao Wanyan carried quiet pride in her heart. If she had to bow to Bai Choo Choo, she'd definitely feel wronged. But there's no helping it. When you make mistakes, you face the consequences. Luckily, Yan Yan is easy to appease. Back when she got upset, buying her a little something would always cheer her up. By the way, isn't there a matching bracelet too? Give it to Choo Choo. When Shen Yanxi sent someone to deliver the necklace, Sister Yu was showing me Bai Choo Choo's live interview. 10. In the video, she lay in a hospital bed while Shen Yanxi gently tucked the blanket around her. The reporter asked, Teacher Choo Choo, have you seen the online discussions these days? Did Xiao Wanyan really fail to come between you two, then push you down the stairs? Bai Choo Choo forced a smile. Don't blame Yan Yan. After all, ACI is outstanding and has many admirers. The reporters were outraged. So it's all true. How is Xiao Wanyan's behavior any different from a stalker fan? Disgusting. How does someone like her deserve to be an award-winning actress? Bai Choo Choo gave a tired smile without responding, clearly exhausted. The media noticed her bracelet and gasped. That bracelet looks familiar. Isn't it the one from the European Royal Collection auctioned recently? I heard it came as a set with a necklace. Bai Choo Choo's glance at Shen Yanxi spoke volumes to the media. Shen, the movie Emperor, and Choo Choo are rock solid. No homewrecker stands a chance. Sister Yu finally snapped, cursing at her phone screen at the top of her lungs. The assistant Shen Yanxi had arranged was promptly shown the door by Sister Yu. The company backing me isn't some pushover. Whenever I'm not filming, I always go home, so the security guards have plenty of photos of me coming and going. The company coordinated multiple influencer accounts to post simultaneously. Isn't this Xiao Wanyan's place? We see her coming back all the time. Unlike a certain award-winning actor who's barely around. How can 2 photos of 3 people entering the same house prove Xiao Wanyan pushed Bai Choo Choo? There might be details we're unaware of. Don't jump to conclusions. Meanwhile, the company's official clarification statement was also released. The online sentiment shifted slightly, but what truly surprised me was Shen Yanxi personally posting a statement. Apparently, Ms. Xiao Wanyan has been sneaking into my home to case the place when I'm away. The accompanying image shows a property ownership certificate. At that moment, I felt blood rushing to my head in fury. 11. My mind buzzed violently as my vision blurred. Before clearing Shen Yanxi's debts, we squeezed together in a cramped rental apartment. after paying off the debts, worried he might feel left out. I put his name on the property deed when buying this house. Back then he smiled and told me, Yen, don't overthink it, I believe in what we have, but now our love has turned into a knife stabbing me in the back. Hit me with your best shot, sister, you lost it too. She never expected Shinyensi would go this far. Marriage certificate, marriage, flaunting the marriage certificate. Yen, where's your marriage license? Shinyensi took it away. He's the one who keeps all these things. On our wedding day, Shinyensi was overjoyed. He kissed our marriage certificates several times. He said he'd frame both marriage certificates to preserve them properly. Sister, you fell silent. After a long pause, she asked, Yen, have you really been together for 10 years? A bitter smile tugged at the corner of my mouth. My phone buzzed with a new message at that moment. Need any help? It was from Fuchin Yuan. Thanks, but I'm good. After turning off my phone, I handed Sister Yu a USB drive. Sis Yu, let's post this. There are security cameras in that house. Shinyensi doesn't know about it. 12. I'm not someone who enjoys being on camera. But coming home alone to an empty house with obsessive fans lurking outside scared me so much that I installed security cameras. The cameras captured everything that happened that night, from Shinyensi bringing Bai Chuchu inside and ordering me to make hangover soup, to Bai Chuchu tumbling down the stairs without me touching her, followed immediately by Shinyensi slapping me. The internet exploded when this footage surfaced. Holy shit, what's going on? In the video, Xia Wanyan claimed the house was hers, and Shinyensi didn't even refute it. But isn't the property deed under Shinyensi's name? See that? Our Yen didn't even touch Bai Chuchu. How shameless can that Bai Chuchu be? From the video, she just got a tiny scratch on her forehead, yet she's been milking hospital resources for days. The audacity to waste public resources like this. Mind your own damn business. Our Chuchu paid for this place, she can stay as long as she wants. Is Shinyensi that brainless? He just swallows Bai Chuchu's lies whole. Pathetic excuse for a man. If he's not using his brain, he might as well feed it to the dogs. Dog, EW. No thanks. Our Chuchu is the best actor's girlfriend. Who else should he side with? Frankly, seeing him protect his woman was downright hot. What's really going on between these three? What the hell happened? Sister Yu scrolled through online comments, reading them aloud to me while cursing Bai Chuchu, in her fury. She even started cursing Shinyensi. After the outburst, she suddenly paused and looked at me. I smiled faintly. It's fine, there's nothing between us anymore. Bai Chuchu responded surprisingly fast, immediately posted a clarification statement. Apologies for taking up public attention. That night, ACI was celebrating my birthday with me. I got carried away with happiness and accidentally drank too much. Worried I might get into trouble walking home drunk. ACI took me back to his place for the night. To our surprise, we ran into Wanyan there. She seemed mentally unstable at the time, insisting it was her house and demanding we leave. Sensing she might be distressed, ACI tactfully asked Wanyan to make some sobering soup, really just giving her an excuse to exit gracefully. I remember feeling pushed from Wanyan's direction, which turned out to be a misunderstanding. I owe her an apology for that. What shocked us more was discovering she'd secretly installed cameras in the house, in the hospital room. Bai Chuchu's face twisted with rage after posting the message. That bitch Xia Wanyan, who knew she'd pull such a dirty trick. 13. When she saw Shinyensi enter through the door, her eyes immediately welled up with tears. ACI, this is all my fault. I was drunk that night and never meant to cause such a huge misunderstanding. I'll go apologize to Sister Wanyan right now. Shinyensi had come intending to confront Bai Chuchu, but hearing her explanation and seeing her reddened eyes, his anger dissipated. No need to apologize. You're still recovering from your injuries. I'll talk to her. Just focus on resting. Bai Chuchu nodded. You're so kind, ACI. I hope this won't affect your relationship with Sister Wanyan. Shinyensi took out his phone and called Xia Wanyan, but after 4 or 5 attempts, there was still no answer. Shinyensi's brows furrowed tightly. He knew Xia Wanyan was giving him the silent treatment again. He called Yu Tian, but she didn't pick up either. Just as Shinyensi was growing agitated, another post topped the trending list. Xia Wanyan, there'll be time ahead. See you all when fate allows. The attached image is your retirement announcement. Shinyensi's pupils constricted violently. A terrible premonition surged through him. Yen, what are you doing? How could you retire without discussing it with me? don't you remember we're married? How dare you make this decision alone? Xiao Wanyan, answer my call right now, or I swear I'll lose my temper. Shenyansi only realized he'd been blocked after sending 2 texts. For no apparent reason, panic began creeping into his heart. Bai Chu saw Xiao Wanyan's retirement announcement too. Her eyes widened before overwhelming joy surged through her. All these years in the entertainment industry, Xiao Wanyan had constantly overshadowed her at every turn. That bitch actually quit the industry, she'll be drowning in offers from now on. But Bai Chu still had to put on an act. Tears streaming down her face, she bolted barefoot from the hospital bed. ACI, why did Wanyan Jia leave the industry? Did I upset her? Her pitiful expression tugged at everyone's heartstrings. In the past, Shenyansi would have scolded her for neglecting her health when seeing her like this. But now Shenyansi just felt an inexplicable irritation, yet still spoke patiently. This probably has nothing to do with you, she's just proud by nature. You should go back to your hospital bed and rest. Bai Chu shook her head tearfully. No, it must be my fault. ACI, take me to see Yan Yan, I need to apologize to her. Just as Shenyansi was about to speak, his agent suddenly called. Yansi, your secret marriage has been exposed. Shenyansi's eyes widened in shock. And Bai Chu standing nearby heard it too. Her heart skipped a beat. Just before boarding the international flight, I snapped a photo of the divorce papers and posted it online. In response to netizens asking what document I made Shenyansi sign in the video, it was divorce papers. 14. I owe you all an apology for lying on the show. I never had an outsider boyfriend, just an ex-husband I was married to for 5 years. The house was bought with my money, but the deed carried his name. After posting this, I turned off my phone and boarded the plane. Little did I know, I'd run into someone familiar during that flight. Senior, what a coincidence. Fu Qinyuan, wearing a baseball cap, waved at me. He glanced at his boarding pass and said, Senior, I'm sitting next to you. I nodded and stood up to let him take the window seat. We remained silent throughout the journey. After landing, Fu Qinyuan turned to me and said, where are you heading, Senior? I tightened my grip on the bag. Just wandering around. Fu Qinyuan smiled without another word. I've already tossed my old SIM card. After landing, I got a new one and texted Sister Yu that I arrived safely. Didn't bother checking any online messages. 15. Rented a small apartment and started getting ready for school. But on the first day of class, there was the professor standing on the lectern. I fell silent. Fu Qinyuan smiled at me. What a coincidence, Senior. After class, Fu Qinyuan treated me to dinner and mentioned he'd been teaching at this school for 5 years. My teaching schedule is light. Feel free to reach out if you need any help, Senior. When he used to call me Senior, it never felt odd before. Now that he's my professor, that Senior title just sounds all kinds of wrong. Just call me by my name. Got it, Yan Yan. In the following period, I devoted myself wholeheartedly to my studies. Time flew by quickly, and my relationship with Fu Qinyuan grew increasingly familiar. Me, 16, it's not that I didn't understand his intentions, it's just that at this point in my life, I neither had the time nor the energy, nor the desire to embark on a new relationship. I seized an opportunity to have a clear conversation with Fu Qinyuan. Fu Qinyuan chuckled, that's your business, but my feelings for you are mine. You can't possibly control my thoughts too, can you? Xiaohu bot, document anti-piracy system. For bookfinding bots, choose Xiaohu reliable, stable, and hassle-free. Fine, that makes sense. It's really none of my business, me. But Fu Qinyuan hasn't done anything inappropriate either. Our interactions have been quite peaceful and normal. I saw Shenyansi again 3 months later, while I was having dinner with Fu Qinyuan discussing our research project. Shenyansi appeared at the restaurant entrance. After 3 months apart, his face was covered in stubble, looking utterly disheveled. 17. When he saw me, his eyes burned crimson. Yan Yan, I finally found you. He came running toward me, arms outstretched for an embrace, but Fu Qinyuan stepped in between us. Shenyansi froze momentarily before glaring at Fu Qinyuan with barely contained fury. Move, Fu Qinyuan sneered. Mind your manners, sir. Keep your hands to yourself. What's it to you if I hug my own wife? Shenyansi's eyes blazed with fury. Fu Qinyuan corrected him coldly. Ex-husband. Seeing Shenyansi again, I instinctively furrowed my brows. There was a time when every encounter with Shenyansi filled me with joy, but now all that remains is disgust. Yan Yan, I didn't realize it was divorce papers back then. Had I known, I'd never have signed them. That doesn't count. Fu Qingyuan remarked, indeed. You were too preoccupied with your precious injured lover. Shen Yanxi choked back his words and glared furiously at Fu Qingyuan. Yan, I didn't think it through back then. We've known each other since childhood, over 20 years of shared history. Are you really going to throw it all away just like that? Shen Yanxi stood rooted to the spot, his eyes red-rimmed as he stared at me. In the past, that wounded expression of his would always melt my heart, but now all I feel is disgust. Fu Qingyuan sneered, clearly you weren't thinking straight, too preoccupied with your little mistress to spare a single thought for our Yan. Enough, Shen Yanxi snapped, his patience gone. Mr. Fu, my marital affairs are none of your concern. With a corporation of your scale to manage, you'd rather waste time meddling here. Shen Yanxi studied Fu Qingyuan through narrowed eyes. Sounds like someone's got ulterior motives. Fu Qingyuan replied, exactly, I want to pursue Yan. Shen Yanxi exploded, you shameless bastard. Fu, Shen Yanxi's outburst was so loud it drew stares from everyone nearby. I slapped Shen Yanxi across the face without hesitation. Me, Shen Yanxi, where was your shame when you publicly announced your affair with Bai Chuchu while we were still married? Where was your shame when you slept with her? Where was your shame when you gave her resources and let her steal my roles? Where was your shame when you two conspired to ruin my reputation online and tried to destroy me? The color drained from Shen Yanxi's face instantly, his lips trembled as he spoke. No, Yan, I never wanted to destroy you, you're my wife, I didn't. You knew all along. Yes, I know everything. Bai Chuchu told me herself, in my past life, Bai Chuchu came to gloat right before I died, so that's why you, Yan, I'm sorry. It's all my fault, I was just drunk that day. I swear it only happened once, I never meant to hurt you. Fu Qingyuan, you did this on purpose. Enough, Shen Yanxi, whether it was intentional or not doesn't matter anymore. I stared at him, because you've made me sick, physically sick. Let's finalize the divorce when you have time. Without another word, I grabbed my things and left the restaurant. I'd eaten enough anyway. Fu Qingyuan followed close behind me. After that incident, I never saw Shen Yanxi again. I reached out several times about finalizing the divorce paperwork, but he never responded, just as my patience was wearing thin. Sister, you called me. 18, Shen Yanxi is behind bars now. He pushed Bai Chuchu off the high-rise. Me, what the, sister, you showed me a video clip. In the video, Shen Yanxi was confronting Bai Chuchu. We agreed not to tell Yan. Why did you break your word? He slapped Bai Chuchu across the face before grabbing her by the throat. Bai Chuchu pleaded desperately, insisting she hadn't broken their agreement, but Shen Yanxi refused to believe it. He pushed Bai Chuchu down the stairs. Didn't you falsely accuse Yan of pushing you before? Well, now it's real, except I'm doing it in her place. The building wasn't exactly low, but neither was it particularly high. Bai Chuchu was simply unlucky to have run into that concrete nail. The nail hit a nerve, leaving her instantly paralyzed. Her affair with Shen Yanxi had already ruined her reputation and drained her savings in breach penalties. Now paralyzed, she couldn't even afford medical treatment. Her parents outright abandoned her. Shen Yanxi was imprisoned for intentional homicide. When I heard the news, I was surprised but not shocked. Family misfortunes had long twisted Shen Yanxi's psyche. In the past, I refused to give up on him and kept trying to pull him back. Sister, you turned to me and said, back when fans were bashing you, after realizing they'd been played by Bai Chuchu and Shen Yanxi, many actually stalked those two and pelted them with rotten eggs. Right now, some fans even tracked down Bai Chuchu's hospital room, cursing her for deserving it, throwing spoiled cabbage at her. With no caretakers and her being immobile, she just had to endure it. By the time medical staff noticed, the stench on her was unbearable. Plenty of fans are also asking if you plan to return to showbiz. What do you think? I smiled and said, I'm not going back. My life here is just fine, though I've lost my family. I've made many new friends at this new school. My new life is just beginning. Fu Qingyuan. Side story. I first met Qiao Wanyan during my freshman year of college. She was bright and cheerful, serving as the student union vice president. 19. I'd often see her feeding stray animals by the roadside. Despite coming from a poor family and having significant burdens to bear, she'd sometimes only have a steamed bun for lunch, yet always shared half with the neighborhood cats. The cat seemed reluctant, but still graciously ate the food, yet her radiant smile was forever etched in my memory. In senior year, we both got accepted to university abroad. I wasn't interested until I heard she was going. That changed everything. I planned a coincidental hometown reunion when term started, but to my surprise, I searched the entire campus without finding her. I only found out after asking around that she had given up. I smiled and said, "He prefers to stay out of the spotlight. I'll introduce you some other time." I took an instant dislike to that deadweight the moment I laid eyes on him. Just as I thought, my gut was right. We both ended up in showbiz. She became a shining star while I secured a teaching position at University A. Though I never actually lectured there, she rarely does variety shows. But I never miss her dramas. I'd even secretly greeted her at the airport, and my family's brand tried to sign her as spokesperson, only for her to turn it down and hand the deal to that deadweight instead. I nearly had that deadweight blacklisted right then and there, but I held back, because she cares about them, and I couldn't bear to hurt her. That shameless good-for-nothing didn't know how to cherish her and actually cheated during their marriage. When I saw her being bullied during the livestream, I couldn't hold back and stepped in to help her out, but she kept her distance from me. Still, I was thrilled because I finally got her contact info. We were connected in college, but she abandoned that old account. But I never expected that deadweight and that shameless little viper would go so far, relentlessly smearing her reputation. I couldn't help reaching out directly, wanting to help her, but she said she didn't need it. Just as I was about to act without asking permission, I saw her post the divorce papers and retirement announcement. A sudden thought crossed my mind. Could she be planning to? I pulled some strings to find out her flight details and managed to get the seat next to hers. Though we didn't exchange a single word the entire flight, I was perfectly content just being near her. Just as I had anticipated, she ended up studying at University abroad. At that moment, I felt incredibly fortunate to have a position at University A myself. I became her professor. Though she remained somewhat distant, it still felt like an improvement from before. I understood she'd been hurt and wouldn't open up anytime soon, but I won't give up, after all these years of waiting. And, story 2, my boyfriend hates my stepsister extremely. My stepsister was humiliated by others and died on his birthday, leaving behind only a diary filled with love and accusations. My boyfriend called her disgusting, but soon after, he framed my mother and got her imprisoned, and then he imprisoned and tortured me. He found people to humiliate me. His eyes were filled with crazy hatred. Ruoro just wanted to stay by my side. Why couldn't you tolerate her? When I woke up again, I went back to the day when he publicly humiliated my stepsister and then confessed his love to me. 1. Luoluo. I like you. Can you be my girlfriend? The man's confession with a bit of shyness caused a lot of teasing from the friends around. I came back to my senses and happened to meet Xianmian's expectant gaze, but before I could react, a sound of glass breaking came from not far away, accompanied by a girl's apology with a sobbing voice. Sorry, I'll clean it up right away." Xianmian's face changed instantly. He almost left me without thinking. He strode towards Song Ruoro, who was squatting on the ground picking up the glass, and then forcefully pulled her arm to make her stand up. His tone was almost gnashing his teeth, but there was a trace of imperceptible panic. "Why the hell are you here?" The always gentle and elegant Xianmian would only lose his composure and swear like this in front of Song Ruoro. Song Ruoro's body trembled in fear. I'm working here." She paused, then took out a box of medicine from her close pocket and carefully handed it to Xianmian. "Brother, you have a bad stomach. I prepared the medicine for you in advance." "Song Ruoro, aren't you being cheap? You're coming here on your own to get scolded." Xianmian raised his hand and slapped the medicine out of Song Ruoro's hand, his tone full of disgust. "Get out of here. Don't embarrass yourself here." I don't know if it was because she had been squatting for too long and her legs were numb, but Song Ruoro fell to the ground because of Xianmian's action. Her palm landed on the glass shards, and it was bleeding profusely. She let out a soft cry of pain and then looked up at Xianmian with red eyes. This scene was very familiar. It was so familiar that I realized almost the next second, I was reborn. In my last life, Xianmian also showed such an extremely disgusted look towards Song Ruoro in front of me. He even told Song Ruoro to die countless times, until Song Ruoro really died on the way to give him a gift. She was lying in a dirty alley with her clothes in disarray. When sorting out the belongings left behind, Song Ruoro's mother gave Xianmian a diary with red eyes. The diary was filled with Song Ruoro's deeply hidden love for Xianmian, and accusations of all kinds of warnings and domineering behaviors that I carried out behind her back. So, Xianmian believed that I had killed Song Ruoro out of jealousy. He coldly called Song Ruorwo disgusting and burned the diary in front of me. But soon after, he began to take crazy revenge on me. First, he framed my mother and got her imprisoned, then he imprisoned me and tortured me with all kinds of means. The day I died happened to be his birthday. It was also the anniversary of Song Ruorwo's death. Siamian found people to humiliate me, his eyes full of hatred. Ruorwo just wanted to stay by my side. Why couldn't you tolerate her so much? But I didn't make it easy for Siamian either. Before I died, I bit off one of his ears, but fortunately, I was reborn. I went back to the day when Siamian publicly humiliated Song Ruorwo and then confessed his love to me. Everything hadn't started yet. 2. Medicine. Where did you get the money to buy such expensive medicine? Could it be that you used the same means as your mother? Siamian sneered. He had always spoken to Song Ruorwo so harshly, so in my last life, I really thought that Siamian truly hated his stepsister. Sure enough, Song Ruorwo's face turned pale. She looked at Siamian helplessly and in shock, and shouted with a sobbing voice, "I'm not that cheap." But this time, I noticed that Siamian's gaze subconsciously avoided, and there was a trace of heartache in his eyes, as if he was regretting it. I sneered. No one present stopped Siamian, because everyone knew that Siamian hated his stepmother who had become his father's wife after being the mistress. He also hated the burden that his stepmother brought into the Xia family. That is, Song Ruorwo. But in Song Ruorwo's diary in my last life, it was me who led all of this. It was me who excluded and bullied her with all my friends in the circle, making her gradually despair. This was also one of the reasons why Siamian hated me. So I looked at Song Ruorwo, who was crying softly, and walked towards her on my own initiative. I asked kindly, "Are you okay?" I helped her up and then glared at Siamian. "Siamian, you're going too far. Why don't you take Miss Song to put some medicine on her?" Wound quickly. As soon as these words were spoken, everyone was stunned. 3. Everyone knew that Siamian and I were childhood sweethearts, and today, it was the day when Siamian confessed his love to me in front of all our friends. It was also my birthday. He frowned subconsciously. "Luo, don't be angry, I'll make her leave right away." Siamian thought I was speaking ironically. After all, everyone thought that I really didn't like Song Ruorwo always pestering and flattering Siamian, but she couldn't be driven away, so Siamian softened his tone and chuckled to coax me. "Today is your birthday, I won't let anyone disturb you." As he was speaking, he was about to drag Song Ruorwo out, but before I could speak, Song Ruorwo's voice suddenly rang in my ear. "System, what's going on? Why is the female lead suddenly being nice to me?" I was stunned and subconsciously looked at Song Ruorwo. She didn't open her mouth, probably because she was pulled painfully by Siamian. She was lowering her head and sobbing softly, but the voice I heard was completely different from the weakness she showed. "Forget it, she's just an insignificant supporting character. As long as I have that medicine, I will definitely win the male lead tonight." Song Ruorwo's tone was full of confidence. "Wait a minute," so I immediately stopped Siamian, pretending not to see his body stiffening instantly. I smiled at Song Ruorwo. "Today is my birthday, can I invite you to my birthday party?" Siamian's face froze. Song Ruorwo subconsciously looked at Siamian's reaction. She rarely went against Siamian's will, but Song Ruorwo really wanted to succeed this time, so she quickly lowered her head and softly agreed, saying okay. I chuckled. The smile didn't reach my eyes. Rather than letting these two people do something where I didn't know, it would be better to keep them right under my nose. 4. I had booked these 2 floors of the hotel, perhaps because I didn't accept his confession immediately, or perhaps because Song Ruorwo stayed. In the following time, Siamian kept drinking. I didn't stop him and was happy to see it happen. Song Ruorwo kept whispering beside Siamian, advising him to drink less, but she was pushed away impatiently by Siamian. But no one noticed that Siamian always carefully avoided Song Ruorwo's injured hand. Even when he noticed that Song Ruorwo was about to bump into the waiter's cart, he quietly pulled her closer to him, and then he impatiently shook her off. No one noticed the strange atmosphere between the two of them. I smiled and secretly asked someone to serve more high-concentration alcohol. It was time to cut the cake. I distributed the cake to my friends, including Song Ruorwo. But when Siamian noticed the cake that Song Ruorwo got, his face froze, and he reached out and knocked the cake over without thinking. The commotion was so loud that everyone subconsciously looked over. Siamian subconsciously explained, "She's allergic to almonds." As if realizing that his behavior was too extreme, his eyes darkened, and he calmed down. Then he sneered, she's allergic to almonds, I'm afraid that if she eats it and dies, the old man will come to me for trouble. His expression was as disgusted as ever, but I saw Song Ruoro's eyes light up with a bit of complacency that she was determined to succeed. 5. Siamian was drunk, he leaned on me, his tone coquettish and with a trace of small complaint. Luo, why didn't you agree to me? But before I could answer, Siamian started self-reflecting, it must be because I'm not good enough, so Luo is hesitating. He sounded a bit aggrieved. Siamian and I were childhood sweethearts. The always proud young master of the Xia family would only lower his head for me. And because of my words I like it, he took great pains to practice his cooking skills. He once told everyone with bright eyes that I was the girl he most wanted to marry, so everyone thought that we were the most suitable couple. I also thought so in my last life, so even though Song Ruoro often appeared beside Siamian and me, I didn't take her seriously at all, until later Song Ruoro died. I also clearly realized that for Siamian, wanting to marry didn't mean loving the most. And the two could even coexist. I turned my head and looked at Siamian, who was leaning on my shoulder. He was completely different from the gloomy and vicious Siamian in my memory who wanted me to die, so I smiled and said, how could that be? You're very good, it's just that I have some things to deal with. My tone was casual, but Siamian was coaxed into being happy and said that I was the best in a clingy way, but he was so drunk that he didn't even know when the person beside him had changed. I have something urgent to deal with. I can only trouble Miss Song to send me on to the room. I noticed that Song Ruoro was following me intentionally or unintentionally, so I stopped her. I handed her the room card and spoke with an apologetic tone. Song Ruoro had originally been secretly jealous and staring at the intimate actions between me and Siamian. When she heard these words, she was stunned for a moment, then quickly lowered her head and held back the smile at the corner of her mouth. It doesn't matter, Miss Shin can go and do your own thing. I'll just send my brother there. I could still clearly hear her conversation with that so-called system. Her tone was disdainful. This woman is so stupid. She sent the opportunity to me herself. Then don't blame me. Song Ruoro helped Siamian leave, and I just stood there and suddenly laughed. Go ahead. After all, I also gave a big gift. 6. I went back to the room and immediately took a shower. And then threw away the clothes that had been touched by Siamian. The ambiguous sounds in the video didn't stop. The medicine given by that so-called system was indeed somewhat effective. At first, Siamian mistook Song Ruoro for me, but he quickly sobered up. He subconsciously pinched Song Ruoro's neck with disgust and shock, but when she shed weak and pitiful tears, he hesitated and let go of his hand, and let out a muffled groan with a flushed face. This gave Song Ruoro the opportunity to continue, so the scolding and crying gradually turned into ambiguous gasps. I glanced at it and then turned my eyes away in disgust. Later, as soon as I got up, the door was banged. The sound was urgent, as if it was accidentally bumped into. I opened the door to take a look and only saw a figure leaving in a hurry. It was as if there was some fierce beast chasing behind. I couldn't see it after it turned the corner, but that familiar figure made me widen my eyes suddenly. Before I died in my last life, I also saw someone desperately pushing everyone aside and running towards me, but I was in so much pain that I didn't see clearly who it was. At my feet lay a beautifully wrapped birthday gift. Quietly, without thinking, I chased after it and took out my phone, trying to control the trembling in my voice. Help me stop someone. 7. The person was stopped at the gate by the bodyguards. When I arrived, he had his back to me and was fighting with the bodyguards who were stopping him. His movements were fierce, and he hardly considered whether he would get injured. Stop. The moment that person heard my voice, he stiffened suddenly, like a fierce dog that immediately stopped all its actions after receiving the owner's command. He waited obediently and nervously. Am I going to eat you? Why are you running so fast? I walked forward quickly, angry and anxious, but the words I wanted to use to educate him got stuck suddenly when I saw the familiar attire. I widened my eyes. Xie Shishu, the illegitimate son of the Xie family. After being recognized by me, Xie Shishu almost instinctively lowered the brim of his hat. He turned around in a panic and confusion, and his voice faintly carried a choking plea. Why you don't look at me, please? So I stopped all my movements. Why can't I look at you? As soon as the words were spoken, Xie Shishu's overly thin back stiffened suddenly. After a long while, I heard this person speak extremely difficultly. Each word seemed to be squeezed out desperately from his chest, and it carried a gentle despair. Ugly. I'll scare you. This time, it was my turn to be stunned. 8. I wasn't familiar with Xie Shishu, probably because he was an illegitimate son. Xie Shishu was so dull that he could be called gloomy. He had a completely different personality from the popular Xie Mian. The figure in my memory who desperately tried to save me gradually faded away, and I suddenly wasn't sure if Xie Shishu was that person. After all, I had only spoken a few words to Xie Shishu, and our relationship wasn't deep, so I pursed my lips and thanked him. Thank you for the birthday gift. Xie Shishu panicked, and even his back showed a bit of uneasiness. He lowered his head and said very softly, and no need to thank me. I noticed that the earlobe hidden under the black broken hair instantly turned red as if it was about to bleed, but in my last life, I heard that Xie Shishu was ruthless in his methods, and several times he almost pulled Xie Mian down from the position of the heir of the Xie family, but this person always seemed to lack a bit of luck. However, at that time, I hadn't had any contact with Xie Shishu for a long time, so I stopped Xie Shishu who was about to leave. Xie Shishu, let's cooperate. I have to make Xie Mian's life worse than death, but the Xie family is a huge entity. Businessmen pursue profit. The Xie family is that profit. I thought that Xie Shishu was capable and could disguise himself in the Xie family for so long, he probably wouldn't agree to my invitation immediately, but I didn't guess the reason why he refused me. The thin and weak teenager still didn't turn around, but the hand hanging by his side clenched and then loosened. Finally, he said in a small and aggrieved voice, but I don't have any money left. 9. I don't have any money left. I had a dream. In the dream, the voice of a child overlapped with that of Xie Shishu, but that child was not ugly at all. On the contrary, he was very good-looking. His amber eyes looked at me timidly. He said in a small and uneasy voice, I don't have any money left. Can I still play with you? Of course. I heard my young self answer like this, then I playfully pinched the child's face. After pinching it red, I seriously emphasized, but we're not just playing, we're collaborating on something big. In the end, I got myself into the hands of the kidnappers. The little boy, who was as thin and weak as a beautiful chick, desperately rubbed through the ropes that bound my hands and feet and told me to run away quickly. I pulled him to run together, but he couldn't escape. The dream ended abruptly at this point, because the door of my room was knocked heavily. Accompanied by Xie Mian's hoarse voice, Luo Luo, are you in there? 10. Xie Mian had obviously just gotten out of Song Ruoro's bed and then came to find me in a hurry. He asked me indirectly. Only after finding that there was nothing abnormal did he heave a sigh of relief. I still have some things to go back and deal with first. Xie Mian spoke with an apologetic tone. He paused and then looked at me very affectionately. But Luo Luo, I still hope you can seriously consider the matter between us. I held back my nausea and lazily replied, okay. After Xie Mian left, I didn't rush back but waited quietly for a while. Not long after, the door of the room next to his opened. It was Xie Mian's friend, Shui Minghui. When he saw me, Shui Minghui couldn't help clicking his tongue several times. His tone was ambiguous. You two really had a wild time last night. I couldn't even sleep peacefully next door. Of course, he couldn't sleep peacefully, after all. I specifically arranged a room with the worst sound insulation for those two people. I sneered and frowned, pretending not to understand. What do you mean by having a wild time? I was very tired yesterday and went straight to bed as soon as I got back to my room. Shui Minghui realized something was wrong belatedly, and his face froze. Before he could speak, I asked again, by the way, do you know where Miss Song has gone? Song Ruoro. Yeah, I showed an apologetic expression. I was supposed to send Mian back to rest last night, but something came up at the company, so I asked Miss Song to take care of Mian. Later, after I finished dealing with the matter, I realized that I forgot to give Miss Song her room card. I don't know where she stayed so late last night. At this moment, Shui Minghui's face darkened so much that it seemed as if ink could drip from it. I only found out in my last life, after Song Ruoro's death, that Shui Minghui liked Song Ruoro. He hid it very well, just so that when Song Ruoro was in deep trouble, he could appear in front of her as a savior. So Shui Minghui had never stopped Xie Mian from bullying Song Ruoro. He even fanned the flames in front of Xie Mian intentionally or unintentionally, but before he could make his appearance, Song Ruoro died. Later, under Xie Mian's deliberate guidance, Shui Minghui also believed that I had schemed to kill Song Ruoro. So these two people joined hands to carry out the so-called revenge on me, but now, the allies from my last life were about to turn against each other. Shui Minghui left in a hurry with a gloomy face even before he could make excuses for his good brother. I curved my eyes and smiled, but when I turned around, I was suddenly stunned. Xie Shishu, 11, he was still wearing black clothes. Black pants, a black duckbill cap, and even a black mask, hiding in the corner. I didn't know how long he had been there. I suddenly remembered that Xie Shishu in my impression always seemed so unremarkable. When did you come? I walked towards him with a casual tone. Last night, after Xie Shishu left in a hurry with the words, "But I don't have any money left." He didn't give a definite answer. When he saw me walking over, this person instinctively wanted to step back. But he was so scared by my words, "If you dare to take a step back, I'll strip off your clothes," that he stopped in his tracks abruptly. The earlobe exposed outside was so red that it seemed as if it was about to bleed. Xie Shishu stammered, "He's not a good person. Don't agree to him. I saw Song Ruoro enter his room last night and she didn't come out all night." It was obvious who he was. When he saw me raise my eyebrows, Xie Shishu was worried that I wouldn't believe him and said anxiously, "Really? I saw it with my own eyes." "You saw it with your own eyes?" I was stunned. "You've been waiting here all night." I realized belatedly that Xie Shishu's all-black attire wasn't because he liked to dress like this, it was because he simply didn't have time to change his clothes. My expression became complicated. Just as I was about to say something, I saw Xie Shishu take a small half-step back. He lowered his head and said very softly, "Why you don't come any closer?" As if afraid that I would think too much, this person raised his head again and explained to me in a hurry, "I don't dislike you, I just haven't had time to change my clothes. I'll smell bad." The last half of the sentence was said very softly and embarrassingly. He was clearly half a head taller than me, but at this moment, he was as flustered and helpless as a child who had made a mistake. I suddenly thought of the dream I had. I thought of the little boy in the dream who was overly delicate in appearance but very shy, so a sentence blurted out, "Xie Shishu, can I see your face?" Xie Shishu had always been wearing a mask, and in my last life, he went abroad early. When he returned to the country, I had already been imprisoned in the dark basement by Xie Mian. It seemed that I had never known what Xie Shishu looked like, but as soon as the words were spoken, Xie Shishu's body stiffened suddenly. Even the redness on his earlobe faded away instantly. The aura around him became as silent as a stagnant pond. I remembered the conversation last night and guessed that he should have some unspeakable difficulties. Immediately, I felt a bit apologetic. "Sorry, I was being rude." "It's okay." Xie Shishu gently shook his head. He slowly and stiffly raised his hand, as if he was going to take off his mask. "It might be a bit ugly. I hope it won't scare you, Xie Shishu." I stopped him and smiled with curved eyebrows. "Thank you for the reminder." 12. I stopped Xie Shishu from taking off his mask, but I kept it in mind and asked someone to investigate what had happened to Xie Shishu. I don't know why. After meeting Xie Shishu for the second time, the thought in my heart that Xie Shishu is the person from my last life became stronger and stronger. Xie Shishu's information was overly simple, but I saw a photo of Xie Shishu when he was a child. He looked exactly the same as the boy in my dream, but I don't know why. I had no impression of this face at all, so I thought of the kidnapping in my dream again. "You were kidnapped when you were a child, and later Xie Mian brought you back." Xie Mian. I was stunned and didn't react for a moment. Why don't I have any impression of this? You had a serious illness after you came back. At that time, you were still young, so it's normal not to remember these things. My mother rolled her eyes at me while applying a facial mask. "Otherwise, why do you think our family is so close to the Xie family?" "It's not because their son saved your life. I thought that the son of the Xie family might really have saved my life, but that person definitely wouldn't be Xie Mian. I heard that you invited Xie Mian's little sister on your birthday." My mother didn't look at me, so I realized that my little tricks hadn't been hidden from her. Sure enough. The next second my mother clicked her tongue. "You're still young. In the end, it's your mother who has to clean up your mess." I touched my nose guiltily and didn't dare to say anything. She didn't say much either, and she didn't ask me what had happened between Xie Mian and me. She just said casually before leaving, "I think a piece of land in the Shui family's hands is quite good. It's a pity that the kid from the Xie family took it first by relying on some favor. However, this thing called favor will be exhausted sooner or later, and it's not worth much." I understood. I smiled at my mother and said, "I see." 13. Xie Mian probably had dealt with Song Ruoro's matter. He began to be more and more attentive to me and occasionally showed a bit of eagerness. Song Ruoro didn't appear in front of me again, but unexpectedly, a few days later, she got together with Xue Minghui. Thanks to this strange mind-reading ability, I pieced together the truth that I hadn't known in my last life. Song Ruoro was a so-called task performer. The purpose of her coming to this world was to collect the love value of the male lead. She could leave once the task was completed. Unfortunately, the last time she was too eager for quick success and gave Xiamian the medicine. Not only did it not increase Xiamian's love value for her, but it also almost made Xiamian and Xue Minghui turn against each other. A woman who wasn't loved enough at present was naturally not as important as a cooperation worth hundreds of millions. In order to appease Xue Minghui and also to stimulate Xiamian, Song Ruoro agreed to Xue Minghui's pursuit, but Xue Minghui was originally a suspicious person. Coupled with the fact that he got Song Ruoro so easily now, he naturally wouldn't treat Song Ruoro very well. Song Ruoro called Xiamian many times in private, but Xiamian hung up on her in front of me, like mother, like daughter. Xiamian sneered, but there was a fierce look in his eyes. I'm afraid she's long wanted to use me as a stepping stone. It's really hard for this woman to have pretended in front of me for so long. When saying these words, Xiamian had been secretly observing my expression, but I knew that this was just an illusion that Xiamian wanted me to see. Not long after Xue Minghui and Song Ruoro officially announced their relationship, I received an anonymous email. In the video, Song Ruoro and Xiamian were pulling and tugging at each other. Judging from the surrounding environment, it should be the time when Song Ruoro attended the charity dinner as Xue Minghui's female companion. The person filming was at a distance, and it was impossible to hear clearly what Song Ruoro and Xiamian were saying in the video. That person probably also realized this, so he used a voice changer to dub it for me in a serious manner. It was somewhat comical. Xiamian pinched Song Ruoro's neck. The person dubbed, "Is it fun to use me as a stepping stone, Song Ruoro? Aren't you really afraid that I'll play with you until you die?" In fact, Xiamian had said a lot, but I guessed it wasn't anything good, so the person who dubbed just vaguely skipped over it. Song Ruoro didn't resist either. She just tilted her head slightly and looked at Xiamian stubbornly with her red eyes. Xiamian fell for this. When I was imprisoned in my last life, Xiamian recalled this delicate yet strong appearance of Song Ruoro in front of me countless times. He called me a poisonous woman and said that my love for him made him feel disgusted, but from beginning to end, it was Xiamian who had been pursuing me. Sure enough, in the video, Xiamian released his hand hesitantly, then he kissed her as if to vent his emotions. Biting Song Ruoro's lips with red eyes, Song Ruoro tilted her head back to bear it. And a tear that was just right rolled down her cheek. Then, this kiss that was originally just for venting gradually changed its taste. Xiamian's hand reached into Song Ruoro's dress. This probably scared the person filming. A slightly red hand flashed quickly in the shaking camera, but it soon disappeared from view, so I couldn't help but sigh. It turned out that when some people were shy, their whole bodies could turn red. The camera focused on Xiamian and Song Ruoro again. Both of them still had some rationality left. Song Ruoro finally sobbed and explained that she had done this to ensure the cooperation between the Xie family and the Xue family could proceed. This explanation stunned Xiamian, especially when Song Ruoro revealed the red marks on her thighs. Xiamian completely lost control of his furious emotions. He said, "Do you think I'll believe you?" But under Song Ruoro's intentional or unintentional seduction, he completely fell apart. It was not until someone came that the two of them reluctantly separated. Then they left one after another, pretending that nothing had happened. It was at that charity dinner that Xiamian bought an expensive pink diamond. When donating to the charity home, Xiamian also said affectionately to the camera, "The girl I like has the kindest heart, and I also hope she will like the gift I gave her." Everyone tacitly assumed that Xiamian was talking about me, even though I wasn't present. Many of my acquaintances sent their blessings in advance. And now, Xiamian was holding that pink diamond and confessing his love to me. This time, he didn't ask his friends to witness it, saying that he didn't want to be disturbed by other irrelevant people, so I lowered my eyes and looked at it for a while, then curved my lips. "Okay, 14. Xiamian was overjoyed. Without saying a word, he wanted to contact the two families to have a meal together. He hugged me and sighed. "I can finally enter your house legitimately, Luo Luo. Don't worry. I will definitely treat you very well. When is Aunt Shen free?" I could hear the eagerness in Simeon's tone, and of course, I knew why he had such a reaction. First, he was afraid that his affair with Song Ruoro would be exposed, so as to avoid any potential problems. Second, he wanted to take this opportunity to make my mother agree to give up a portion of the profit. The Xie family and the Shin family had a cooperative project recently. Everything went smoothly in the early stage, but there were some problems with the profit sharing. My mother had been stubborn and didn't give in. Okay, I held back my discomfort all over my body and replied casually, "You can arrange it. If you can make my mother give in on this matter, you win," I sneered in my heart. But Simeon mistakenly thought that I would be on his side and was immediately overjoyed. While he went to the kitchen, I posted a status on my social media. "Thank you, my dear, for the gift, I like it very much." The attached picture was the pink diamond that Simeon had bought. I knew that Song Ruoro had been paying attention to all my updates. Sure enough, she was the first to send her blessings, and then a long string of "wish you two a long and happy relationship" followed, until an account with a black profile picture liked my status and then quickly unliked it. I couldn't help laughing. It was Xie Shishu. He was used to liking all my social media updates but never left any comments, so I found his WeChat ID and sent him a message. "On such a happy day, shouldn't you buy me a bouquet of flowers to celebrate?" I saw the chat box continuously showing typing but didn't receive a reply for a long time. I could probably guess how torn he was. I smiled and put down my phone. Just then, Simeon came out of the kitchen, looking a bit anxious, but when he saw me, he furrowed his brows and said apologetically, "Luo, something has come up at the company. I might not be able to stay with you any longer. I have to go back and deal with it first." I showed my understanding considerately, so Simeon left in a hurry. Not long after, my social media feed refreshed. The latest post was from Song Ruoro. "I have a fever, feeling so uncomfortable, but those who love you will come to your side no matter how far away they are. Red heart." The attached pictures were a big heart emoji and a censored screenshot of a shared location. Soon, someone asked her what was wrong in the comments. I sneered, took a screenshot without hesitation, and added the video of Song Ruoro and Simeon's affair on my birthday. I was about to have someone send them all to Xue Minghui, who was on a business trip abroad, but I hesitated just before sending them. Just then, a new WeChat message popped up. "Should I send it to your home? But I seem to not know where you live." I could feel his caution and grievance even through the screen. 15. Xie Shishu arrived later than I expected. I thought he couldn't find the way, but I was stunned the moment I opened the door. He was holding a huge money tree, with his face hidden behind the leaves. He explained carefully, "You said before that you liked money trees better." I did say that. I said it casually when a boy in high school confessed his love to me with a bouquet of flowers. But who would be so silly as to give a girl a money tree? I was amused. "Didn't I ask you to bring flowers? Actually, money trees can also bloom." Xie Shishu's voice got softer and softer, sounding a bit guilty, "But I remember money trees rarely bloom." I laughed, teasing him on purpose. "I can't take care of such a big money tree. I can take care of it for you," Xie Shishu replied instinctively. But then he froze as soon as the words came out. He quickly explained, "No, I mean, yeah. I know you didn't mean to use taking care of the money tree as an excuse to come to my house." I stepped aside to let him in, but Xie Shishu just stood at the door, not moving. "What's wrong?" Simeon didn't say anything. His eyes slowly landed on a pair of men's slippers at the door. After a long while, he said haltingly, "Simeon isn't suitable for you." I then realized that he must have mistaken these slippers as ones I prepared for Simeon. In fact, I hated everything that Simeon had touched. I had already found a new tenant for the apartment Simeon had been to, but I didn't explain further. Instead, I tilted my head and asked him, "Then what's your identity to tell me something like this?" Xie Shishu opened his mouth but couldn't say anything. I waited patiently. Unexpectedly, after a long silence, Xie Shishu put down the money tree, rubbed his hands until they turned red, and then carefully tugged at my sleeve. The tall boy, over 1.8 meters, stood in front of me with his head lowered, exuding a sense of obedience. He said, "I can get plastic surgery. I'm sure I'll be more handsome than Simeon after that, and I'm more obedient than him, so, can you stop liking him?" The last sentence was said very softly. It left me stunned and speechless. After a long while, I finally found my voice. "Xie Shishu, Take off your mask. 16. I was prepared for the possibility that Xiaxishu might have grown less good looking as he got older, but not only did he not, his features had become even more delicate. The only flaw, if there was one, was the scar that extended from under his left eye to the end of his eyebrow. That scar also appeared in my dream. It was from when Xiaxishu was slashed by a thug's knife while protecting me to escape, a little deeper. And his left eye would have been blinded. Seeing me staring at his left eye, Xiaxishu instinctively turned his head, revealing his perfectly delicate right half of the face. He said softly, "The scar can be removed." Xiaxishu, I called him, who said you're ugly. Xiaxishu was taken aback and replied obediently, "A lot of people." Who started it? Xiamian. Just as I expected, Xiamian had always hated Xiaxishu, but he couldn't get rid of him. Because Xiaxishu's mother was a mentally ill person, she committed suicide after sending Xiaxishu to the Xia family, and this incident caused quite a stir at that time, so Xiamian could only suppress Xiaxishu in various ways. He called Xiaxishu ugly, he called Xiaxishu a good for nothing, he said Xiaxishu was just like his mother, a lunatic. My chest felt stuffy, and anger burned inside me, but I remained calm on the surface. He said I'm so ugly that I'd scare you. So he told me not to show up in front of you, Xiaxishu added, carefully observing my expression. Xiamian indeed wouldn't want Xiaxishu around because he needed to fabricate the story of saving my life. I thought expressionlessly, but Xiaxishu mistook my silence for disbelief. The light in his amber eyes dimmed instantly. He asked me sadly, "Can I put my mask back on now?" "Wait a minute," Xiaxishu nodded. He seemed used to being quiet and compliant. It was hard for me to connect the person in front of me with the Xiaxishu who would later be able to compete with Xiamian, until I asked him to raise his head and then smiled and asked, "Have you ever tried drawing on your face?" Xiaxishu's eyes widened suddenly, then I watched as the redness in his eyes gradually spread, so I glanced at his hands resting on his knees and said deliberately, "Remember not to let your hands show in the videos next time." Xiaxishu stiffened. "Don't move, okay?" Xiaxishu replied, sounding wronged. I drew a wisteria on the scar under Xiaxishu's eye. He hadn't looked in the mirror for a long time. This time, under my insistence, he looked at himself carefully in the mirror. After a while, he looked up at me. "I'm more handsome than Xiamian." His tone was confident, with a hint of excitement. I nodded. "You've always been more handsome than Xiamian." The redness that had just faded away reappeared on Xiaxishu's face. He quickly turned his head and changed the subject. "Do you still need those videos?" "I have other ones." I asked Xiaxishu if he wanted to cooperate. I wanted Xiamian and Song Ruorwo to be disgraced, but the cooperation between the Shin family and the Xia family couldn't be affected. From the beginning to the end, what I wanted was not just revenge. Xiaxishu understood and was very quick-witted. "That's enough," I smiled. The videos I had were already enough to make Xue Minghui, that madman, turn against Xiamian. 17. I found someone to teach Xiaxishu. He was much smarter than I expected. Most of the time, he could understand things with just a little explanation. Even so, I caught him studying all night several times. When caught, he would admit his mistake obediently but never change his ways. I asked Xiaxishu why he was pushing himself so hard. Xiaxishu stared at me for a long time, then stammered and changed the subject. He was hiding something from me. This made me a bit unhappy. But the feeling didn't last long. After all, this time I only believed in myself. Xiamian was so entangled with Song Ruorwo that he had no time to arrange a meeting between the two families. Song Ruorwo was extremely jealous and possessive. Now, because of the existence of Xue Minghui, a ticking time bomb, she was eager to complete her mission as soon as possible, and every time I met with Xiamian, I would post on social media to show off. I knew Song Ruorwo was watching. And every time she saw it, she would find ways to call Xiamian back to her side. This atmosphere of infidelity had Xiamian hooked, especially when my unreasonableness made Song Ruorwo seem even more gentle and considerate. With my push, Xiamian and Song Ruorwo's relationship developed rapidly. Xiamian wanted it all. But in this world, there's no such thing as having everything your way. The project cooperation finally ended with my mother getting an additional 10% of the profit. I heard that after returning home, Xiamian's father scolded him severely, thinking that he had failed to do a good job in dealing with our side. Xiamian threw a huge tantrum that day. Although he was nominally the heir of the Xia family, he was controlled by his father in every way and had long harbored resentment. In the last life, under the pretext of revenge, Xie Mian and Shui Minghui seized my family's business. After that, he quickly accumulated enough capital to start his own business. I knew about his ambition, so I softened my attitude for once, comforted Xie Mian, and pretended to casually mention my intention to start a business. Sure enough, Xie Mian's eyes lit up. He coaxed me to start a business with him, saying that he didn't want to rely on his family. Luo, you know my father has always been very controlling. Xie Mian frowned. If he finds out about my plans, he'll do everything to stop me. But I really want to prove myself. Luo, you'll help me, right? He looked at me expectantly, so I smiled. Of course, after all, you're my boyfriend. It was worth it to use a little money to make Xie Mian fall into eternal ruin. Xie Mian was overjoyed and wanted to stay with me that night, but I refused him with an excuse. Xie Mian wasn't angry. He left after telling me to rest well. I knew he was going to see Song Ruoruo. Xie Mian had been trained as the heir since childhood and was strictly disciplined. Song Ruoruo had opened the door to a new world for him. According to the information sent by the private detective, the two of them had recently become obsessed with various role-playing games. Xie Mian used this way to vent his emotions and was deeply addicted. This was completely different from the last life. In the last life, Xie Mian didn't have a relationship with Song Ruoruo, and without the provocation from Shui Minghui, he focused all his efforts on self-improvement. But now, with his ally turned enemy and his abilities not matching his ambitions, I was eagerly looking forward to the day when everything would come to a head. After all, the Xie family didn't have only Xie Mian as a son. 18. Shui Minghui returned to the country. The first thing he did after coming back was to find me. He was straightforward. Do you know what your boyfriend and my girlfriend have been up to? Shui Minghui didn't suspect me. Xie Shishu was skilled, and Shui Minghui couldn't trace the sender of the emails. When I saw those videos, I was so angry that I trembled all over and wanted to confront Xie Mian immediately, but Shui Minghui stopped me. He hypocritically suggested that we join forces. What do you want to do? Just wait. Shui Minghui sneered viciously. I won't let them off easily. After a long silence, I said fiercely with red eyes, I heard Xie Mian wants that piece of land in the west of the city owned by the Shui family. The Shin family can cover the Shui family's losses and offer a higher price. That piece of land was a test given to Xie Mian by his father. Although the contract hadn't been signed yet, Xie Mian was determined to get it and had already started investing in construction. Now, if the Shui family went back on their word, his losses would be huge. Shui Minghui's eyes lit up immediately. Deal. He thought I was so angry that I was foolish enough to take on that mess, but he didn't know that soon, the land would be taken over by the government, bringing immeasurable benefits. I watched Shui Minghui's departing back, put away the anger on my face, and smiled instead. Shui Minghui underestimated how crazy Xie Mian could be when two rabid dogs fight. I hope Song Ruoruo can still bear it. My phone vibrated. It was a message from Xie Shishu. I've finished today's study tasks. Can I come to your place to check on the money tree? After a while, he tentatively sent a cat peeking out emoji, thinking of the money tree at home, which was now associated with the hope of blooming. I thought Xie Shishu had found a good excuse, but I didn't really mind. As soon as I gave my consent, Xie Shishu replied almost instantly, I'll be there right away. What would you like to eat today? I can buy groceries on the way. Xie Shishu was much better at cooking than Xie Mian, and his dishes suited my taste more. But this wasn't something he should be doing. I lowered my eyes, rubbing my phone, and refused him. I've already eaten. I happen to have something to discuss with you tonight and check your recent study progress by the way. This time, Xie Shishu took a while to reply. Okay. Then came a cat-looking, dejected emoji. I didn't reply further. While Xie Mian and Song Ruoruo were immersed in their various dramatic scenarios, I followed my mother's lead, intensified my study of company operations, attended various business meetings, and expanded my network. I once thought that Ms. Shin could always protect me, until in the last life, she was framed for financial crimes by Xie Mian and imprisoned. I was powerless to support the Shin family, and in the end, all her years of hard work were swallowed up by Xie Mian and Shui Minghui. My mother, who loved beauty so much, tried every means to save me until the day she died, but I could do nothing. But this time, everything was different. 19. Shui Minghui delivered his gift at the birthday celebration of the Xie family's patriarch. the Xie family had originally planned to announce the engagement between the Xie and Shen families that day. Song Ruoro didn't show up, but no one paid much attention, until Xie Mian's phone suddenly rang. When he saw the caller ID, his face froze. He instinctively looked up and then tried to hang up the phone in a hurry, but I stopped him. "Is it Ruoro?" I asked, pretending to be concerned. "She seems to be in a hurry, you'd better answer it. What if something's wrong? What could happen to her? She's just a troublemaker," Xie Mian said casually, not noticing the affection in his tone at all. But the people present were all shrewd. Xie Mian's father's expression changed. But he didn't say anything. I smiled. And when Xie Mian was about to hang up, I snatched the phone from him and answered the call. "You should answer it. What if there's really an emergency? Mian, save me." Before she could finish, Song Ruoro's scream with a sobbing voice rang out. "Shui Minghui is trying to rape me." As soon as these words came out, Xie Mian's face changed drastically. He instinctively wanted to run out, but was stopped by his father. "Dad." Xie Mian's voice was filled with unhidden urgency. "Ruoro is in danger." Xie Mian's father forced a smile at my mother and me, then scolded in a low voice. "What danger could she be in? She and Xiao Shui are boyfriend and girlfriend." "They're not," Xie Mian instinctively retorted, but suddenly stopped when he noticed me. Then his eyes lit up. "Luo, you agree with me going, right?" I had caught Xie Mian several times when Song Ruoro used various excuses to get him to go and accompany her. At first, Xie Mian would nervously explain to me. But after I magnanimously showed my understanding several times, he became more and more blatant. He even thought it was only natural. I suppressed the smile in my eyes, frowned, and shook my head. Then I kindly advised him, "Uncle Xie is right. Shui Minghui and she are in a relationship. How could he do something to hurt her? Maybe she's saying this on purpose." I bit my lip and didn't continue, but the meaning was clear. Xie Mian's face instantly darkened. He looked at me with disappointment in his eyes, and hurtful words blurted out without thinking. "Shen Luo, I never thought you'd become so vicious." "Xie Mian." Xie Mian's father slapped him, stopping him angrily. The sudden pain brought Xie Mian back to his senses, but the words had already been said. He gave me a complex look, turned around, and was about to leave, only to be stopped by his father's men. "Let him go." When the two sides were at a stalemate, the voice of the old master of the Xie family sounded. He was helped out by Xie Shishu, and I exchanged a quick glance and then quickly looked away. The old master of the Xie family scanned Xie Mian with eagle-like eyes. "But Xie Mian, you should know what the consequences will be if you step out of this door today. You're not the only son in the Xie family." These words carried a warning, but Xie Mian didn't care. He pushed past the security guards without looking back and ran out. 20. The old master of the Xie family was extremely angry, but the best was yet to come. In the middle of the banquet, the screen in the hall suddenly started playing a live video. The environment in the video was dim, but there were ambiguous gasps and offensive dialogues. "Slut. Are you so happy being my dog? Where did Shui Minghui touch you? Here, or here?" I didn't let him touch me. Brother, won't Shen Luo mind if you come here? After all, you're going to announce your engagement later. Don't mention her. That woman won't even let me kiss her. I don't know what she's pretending to be so high and mighty about. If it weren't for her surname being Shen, I wouldn't even bother with that vicious woman." Everyone heard it clearly. Xie Shishu's face turned ice cold almost instantly. His gaze on the video was as if he wished he could rush over and kill Xie Mian, but I stopped him silently. The old master of the Xie family had a stroke on the spot. The scene was in chaos. In the end, Xie Shishu called the family doctor, made a decisive decision to turn off the video, block the news, and deal with the media reporters at the banquet in a timely manner. He also had people forcefully bring Xie Mian and Song Ruoro back, but this video wasn't only played at the banquet. It spread across the entire internet. Shui Minghui had gone all out. It was considered a response to the hints I gave when sending those videos. I lowered my head and took a sip of wine without saying a word. My mother demanded an explanation from the Xie family with a cold face. Helpless, Xie Mian's father could only keep apologizing. He immediately handed over 3 projects to the Shen family and agreed to many conditions, barely calming my mother down. The anger on my mother's face hadn't completely disappeared, but she beamed as soon as she got in the car. "How did you know Xie Mian would definitely go to that woman?" She guessed that I had secretly orchestrated all these things. I let out an ah and chuckled. "Because Song Ruoro is pregnant." 21. I had someone leak the news of Song Ruoro's pregnancy to Xiamian. She originally wanted to keep it from Xiamian and have an abortion. Because Song Ruoro was worried that the existence of the child would affect her leaving, but Xiamian found out, and he was extremely eager for the child, so Song Ruoro had to put aside those thoughts. But everything was just beginning. With such a huge scandal, the Xie family became the butt of many people's jokes. The old master of the Xie family was hospitalized and fell into a coma. When Xiamian's father was overwhelmed with work, he received the bad news that the Shui family had terminated all cooperation with the Xie family, because Xiamian had disabled Shui Minghui. It wasn't difficult to find out what Shui Minghui had done, or perhaps he deliberately wanted Xiamian to know it was his revenge. Of course, Shui Minghui didn't spare Song Ruoro either. He found people to humiliate her when she was alone, almost causing her to have a miscarriage. But Shui Minghui didn't expect Xiamian to go so crazy and disable him in public. The spectacle of dogs biting each other was a delight to watch. Because of this, Xiamian's father became cautious and checked all the project documents handled by Xiamian. Sure enough, he found obvious loopholes in several important contracts. When signing those contracts, Xiamian hadn't been present in person because he was fooling around with Song Ruoro. Moreover, Xiamian had secretly contacted many contacts to join his newly established company. Xiamian's father was furious. He gave Xiamian a choice, but relying on his ability to start a business independently, Xiamian refused to admit his mistakes. He even moved out of the Xie family with Song Ruoro. He was certain that his father would bow his head. After all, he had been the heir of the Xie family for more than 20 years. Xiamian had never taken Xie Shishu seriously, but this time, his father was completely disappointed in Xiamian. It was at this moment that he remembered he had another son. And that son was more talented than Xiamian. He could understand things quickly, and he was even more obedient than Xiamian. It was just that he had been suppressed by his eldest son in the past few years and hadn't been able to rise to the top. In addition, after the old master of the Xie family woke up, he also intended to let Xie Shishu take over. So when Xiamian wasn't aware, the Xie family had already undergone a change. At that time, Xiamian was still indulging in various intimate games with Song Ruoro. While waiting for his father to bow his head, the Xie family had announced the new heir. I originally thought that according to Xiamian's character, he would make a scene, but he didn't. Instead, he suddenly became diligent in his work and even hired several newly graduated and unknown college students. Everyone was laughing at Xiamian for giving up on himself, but when I saw those people, I was stunned. They were all old acquaintances of the team Xiamian had newly established after annexing the Shen family in the previous life. 22. As expected, Xiamian had also been reborn. He originally wanted to rely on his memories of the previous life to turn the tide, but he didn't expect that I had preempted him in those promising projects and investments. 1 or 2 cases could be considered coincidences, but after so many times, even Xiamian couldn't convince himself. Shenluo, you've been reborn too. Right, Xiamian came to question me, his eyes bloodshot. I just looked at him quietly for a while and suddenly smiled. So you're back too, that's great. I said the last 2 words very softly, but Xiamian could hear them. He misunderstood that I still had feelings for him and that everything I had done was just to make him bow his head to me. So after a moment of hesitation, Xiamian softened his attitude. We did have some misunderstandings in the previous life. And I just wanted to scare you at that time. I didn't really want to hurt you. Fortunately, nothing has happened yet, and there's still time, Xiamian said, then changed to an affectionate tone. Actually, Luo, I still love you. Song Ruoro was just a passing fancy to me. You're the one who can truly become the mistress of the Xie family. As long as you help me through this difficult time, I promise I won't hold your previous actions against you. I was amused by Xiamian's brazen words. Xiamian, I looked at him sideways, my eyes full of mockery. You don't think I said that because I like a piece of trash like you, do you? Xiamian's face changed. He tried to rush towards me, but was held back by the bodyguards beside me. What I meant was, now that you're back, I can take my revenge on you with more peace of mind. I walked up to Xiamian and smiled, dropping another bombshell. By the way, Xiamian, do you know why Song Ruoro has been clinging to you? What? Because you're just a tool for her to complete her mission, I said each word slowly, watching Xiamian's face turn pale instantly. 23. Xiamian wasn't without suspicion. but he stubbornly refused to admit it in front of me, so I took out the records of Song Ruoro's early appointment for an abortion at the hospital. Then I asked him, "Guess, are there any more problems in your company?"